Welcome back. So we are in Matthew now. I think that she highlighted something in Zechariah, but that was something that I was in a lot too. So I'll go through all of these and then go. I'm gonna pray on Zechariah about I'm pretty sure that's hers, but we were both in that chapter. So I'm just gonna meditate on that before I get before I read that. So we're in Matthew, we're in the New Testament, and so it goes So the last two chapters in the Old Testament are Zechariah, Malachi. Then we come into Matthew, and I'm gonna read something that just caught me. It'll make sense. It will make a lot of sense. So it says the New Testament, the introduction. As you turn from Malachi's final words of the Old Testament to the Gospel of Matthew, keep in mind that a long period of time has passed, traditionally called the 400 years of silence. Although the prophets were silent, however, God was working as one world empire after another rose and fell. If you study the prophecies of Daniel 2:24 through 45, 7, 1 through 28, chapter 8, verse 1 through 27, chapter 11, verse 1 through 45, you'll see that these historical events occurred precisely as God had said they would. During this period, the small nation of Israel languished under the control of Persians, the Greeks, and Rome. The New Testament begins with the birth of Jesus Christ. 400 years of prophetic silence is broken by John the Baptist's announcement that the promised Savior has come. So the New Testament has 27 books and were written by 8 or 9 authors. So let's get into what Christina wrote. So we're in Matthew now. And this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful to me. This is such a beautiful experience. Because literally the plan was to go to the library, but not in the library. But before I left the house, what's occurring, something that I just saw today, was about Kanye West and, the situation with his cousin. And he was just saying, what I did hear was at the age of 6, he saw these things and he didn't know what they were, and they acted them out. And I was like, okay. And then, you know what he's saying, but it's like, well, I figured one thing, but the person went on to say that it was, what it was, and it's like, wow. So it's kind of predictive programming. You put something in somebody's mind and they act it out or whatever. And that's something too that I can speak from. As a child, we used to have Zane books around the house all the time. So I remember the first letter I wrote to my father was a Betsy Coleman sticker, and it was around the age of 9 or 10. And I was like, Daddy, can you send me money so I could buy some books? Because all I was reading at the time was the encyclopedia. When I first learned to read and stuff like that, it was the encyclopedia, and it was those Zane books, and that was, erotica, pretty much. So, yeah. So, 14, I lost my virginity at 14. That may be a much, but I was very, 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 very mature for my age. but nonetheless, like, I was reading about that. I was reading about animals and reproduction. You know, I was just reading a lot in that area, or whatever, you know. I was reading a lot, like, between the encyclopedias and those books, like, it's just something natural, you know. It's something natural, but it's not something that was naturally discussed in the house. It's a rather taboo topic. Even as like an adult, it was something that my sisters they talked about. Like, they were best friends. They talked about, but it was like, if I brought it up, it's like, you can't talk about it. You're a Christian. It was like, where is this coming from? Like, it was just a different. Their dynamic. I couldn't. It's just things that like. I was just shunned for a lot of things, and a lot of things that I was shunned for is like, you can't say that, you're a Christian, or you did that, but you're supposed to be a Christian. And it's like, well, ain't you a Christian too? And ain't you talking about it? Like, how is it that, oh, you a Christian, oh, you this, you that? Like, it was like this, it was like this, it's interesting because I just posted on Instagram about, like, a black heart and what that means to have a black heart, and how every time, like, I would say something, a lot of times growing up from like kindergarten, I would say something like that would have emotions, and the person would be like, why would you say that? And I would ask them, well, what did you hear me say? And whatever they heard me say was the complete opposite of that which I was saying. So when I got a tattoo, when I got my belly button pierced, it was just things I did throughout life, like, that my sisters, or they would be like, well, you're a Christian, you shouldn't do that because you're a Christian. And it's like, but you're a Christian too. So that's where that quantum, living in parallel universes in the same house, come from, you know. And I talk about being unicorn, and that was like my younger sister giving me a level 2 head trauma, which had me in a different world than them. Like, honestly, if you're making this so distinguished, you have tattoos, you have this, you have that, and I never thought, like, oh, the Christianity part. It could have been like, it's something else you could have picked out besides the comparison of Christianity versus, so what are you? And that goes into like conversations of a darker world. People call it different things, but if you're holding me in the light and I'm doing this, and then you're comparing me to not being in the light, you get what I'm saying? Or like I'm trying to think of something else that was like different. That's about it. So let's get into like, how does that convey into what Christina wrote? And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. This is just really beautiful timing for me. So enjoy the sounds of the rain till I find it. Okay, here we go. So we are in Matthew 18. Yeah, she's only in Matthew. So we are in Matthew 18. And her handwriting is that in red. So before I came out, I had an astrology book. I was looking for a magazine. Somebody gifted me a magazine when Nelson Mandela passed away. So I was looking for it today to see if I had it. And in looking for it in my book collection, I found an astrology book, and it said my color is electric blue. So this is not electric blue, but I think the Psalm 149 that I read earlier is electric blue. The color I have on now is, Explorer. It's Maybelline New York Super Stay Matte Ink, and it's number 105 Explorer. It matches my shirt, doesn't it? This is so beautiful. Okay, let's get into it. We go blind with pride, always think of ourselves. Fear and anxiety makes us blind of our gifts and blessings. So I'll read that again. We go blind with pride, always thinking of ourselves. She put think instead of thinking. Fear and anxiety makes us blind of our gifts/blessings. So, when it comes to a child's mind, look into receptive growing. I'm not going to look into it because that's what you need to do. I'm going to look on it for my own and interpret that for my own. But that's what she has, is a child's mind and receptive growing. So, chapter 18. Matthew 18. So she highlighted the greatest in verse 1, child in verse 2, 3, become like children, 4, humbles himself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Matthew 18, 1 through 6. Who is the greatest? At the time the disciples came to Jesus saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And calling to him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. So, this is very powerful. This is a very, very, very powerful thing because it's very powerful what Kanye has done and what Jonathan Majors has done, and it's something that I have prayed that my cousin will do. As far as the impact of sexual trauma that was put onto us by this entity as children, and how it plays out to us as in adults. And my cousin acts like, oh, whatever, that was in the past, and it wasn't. And it's like, I had prayed that he went on the Cam Newton show and was just like, not necessarily saying who it was, but like, was it a older male, female? What was the dynamic? And the interesting thing is that Jonathan Majors actually went on to the show and talked about things he had going on. And I was like, oh wow, that's really, really interesting. But I pray that my cousin, allow for God to use you. All you have to do is tell the truth of like what happened to you as a child, because before I was even reading Zane, I hunched my cousin. I talked about it on Instagram. Like, I hunched my cousin, and yeah, I just did that or whatever. And it wasn't nothing like I told you, I watch animals. So like, or I read about animals. It wasn't, my father wasn't in the house, so it wasn't something that I had seen him in the house or whatever. But going back to, I say to 3, and said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So had I read this before I actually came on and made this video, I wouldn't have read 5 or 6 because it just adds a little bit confusion to the layer. So I'm not really good at editing right now, so just forget the 5 and 6 part. But it's in there. But to stay on where I want to go with this, let's stay right here. So when we look at 3 and 4, like, I feel like when you come to my page, I'm changing it now. But one thing that I say, you have to know Mission Impossible about the entity Gabriel. And oh my God, this is so beautiful. Let me see if I can turn it to you. It's Lola. It's Lola. It's a cardinal. Let me see if I can turn this around. Oh, I can't turn it. Can you see Lola? You see Lola? Hold on. I don't know how to turn this camera around. Lolo. Lola. Lola. Let's see. I'm gonna turn it that way. Lola. There she go. You see her? You see her? You see her? Oh, I hope you catching her. Oh, there she go. There she go. You see her? You see her? She's going across the water. You see her over there? Oh, man, I hope you caught her. You can see her. Hold on. She's right there. You see her? Hold up. We got something else over here. We got some more activity. Hold on, hold on. It's probably a deer. That sounds like a deer. I'm gonna wait till it gets closer. Okay, so it was a 3 and 4, and basically what I wanted to say is like for me, like a shame that came from, I was talking about Mission Impossible, and Mission Impossible is talking about like the entity, and it's like, man, they record everything that you have done already in life, like it's already recorded, right? So we thinking there's Democrats and Republicans, but then there's this group of people called technocrats. That's so beautiful. If you go on my Instagram, when I brought up Kanye, I actually put 2007 was a cardinal, was his mother, and that's just so beautiful and confirmation of the word. And it's like, look, they're here. You see? Can you see Lola over there? And it's just confirmation that, like, just get it out, purge, because at the end of the day, you didn't buy those magazines, right? At the end of the day, I didn't buy those books, right? At the end of the day, I was going to grow up and learn about animals because I had to grow up and learn about animals because it's something that, like, my ancestors grew up around animals, right? That's just their way of living. And now, in 2019, they're saying, because of us living close to animals, we have to create this, and that's not true. You could live with them. My ancestors lived with them, and now you're saying your thought processing from a religious place is, and I was talking about the other day that religion it's like a superior thing, right? Like I am right and you're not, and it's like I'm learning about South African spirituality. And my ancestors, what is it? Oh, it's just a squirrel. It's like, I guess it's a bird. It's like attacking. I mean, I guess it's just playing in the leaves or something. I don't know. It's making a lot of noise, like it was a deer or something. But it was basically talking about spirituality and like what was I talking about? Like not the invoking rain part. Oh, but living amongst animals, right? And then like they did that for so long, and then the Germans. Oh, I know what I was talking about. So it's about there was ancestral worship and tradition, and then like with the war and genocide of like 1904 to 1908, then you had the Arabs and Germans coming up in there. A lot of people coming up in there now, and it's like they had these missionaries. So like a lot of them turned into Lutheran Christianity, which is, I guess, one of the first things that they taught when they came in, right, was Lutheran and Christianity. And then you had the Arabs who came in with Muslims. And I think that's a part of why like MBS comes in with this. And also like Portuguese, that's a language that's down there in Africa. So Portuguese people could have by way came up into Africa too. So I guess that's maybe where Cristiano comes into this place too, right? But yeah, they brought in Lutheran Christianity and they brought in Muslims. But before that, the three countries that I'm looking at, or the three tribes, is Sands tribe, the Ovahimba, and the Hova Hetero. I call it Hero, but Ovahimba, Over Hetero, and also the Sands tribe. What I find interesting about this, I'm just gonna go into it. I'm not even gonna edit, but I'm gonna make another video about it. But the over hetero and over himba. So what happened when the genocide came? A lot of the hero, I'm calling the hero tribe, the hero tribe and the himba tribe. They like kind of. I should make this, but I'm gonna put this here. They're kind of two different. They're cousins, but they're different. So the difference comes because the Himba stayed true, not saying true to themselves, but they stayed more authentic. Whereas something I find very interesting that the hero tribe did, and it's like it's the part about like the men took the German clothes of the soldiers so that they could take on their power, and their power only came from guns and guns and boats, and they did all these things, and it's like they had money where you didn't have money, and you were living in this enclosed area. You saw power as in money and guns and they had the wood, and they built all these farms, and they built all these things, but it's like you were just chilling. You were nomadic. So the Himba people, it's something very similar I do. Like I go into the city, but for real, I'm really isolated a lot. That's more like chattel slavery, more modern slavery, more a lot of what is done is like in the Ottoman Empire. I did it in my post, but it's like trafficking, but it's like a form of prostitution where you show discontentment, but then it's like you creating this discontentment, and the trafficking is more like friends, or like the trafficking is like the like creating this like friendship, or creating this I want to be in a relationship only to create some type of discontentment, and you being yourself is just like, but you creating it. Like I'm not even impressed on whatever you're speaking on. You created that, which in terms is prostitution in that terms, but in this term, it's like modern terms, it's called trafficking, right? Like human and sex trafficking if there is an exchange of sex. But sometimes it's not even the exchange of sex, it's the exchange of ideas. That's human trafficking. And the exchange of ideas is if like, say, if a satellite is listening in to you, then, like, that's trafficking, right? So when we think about, like, a technocratic world or technocracy, if we go back to like, I was looking into the Orange River or whatever. In the Orange River, it was basically talking about, like, right now, that's where they found the diamonds at initially. And it was like, it's ran by like the House of Orange or like William the Silent and things like this. I'll go into a little bit different because I wasn't expecting to go in it here. And it's like, it's like you don't even own, it's like they trafficking people in their own. They still trafficking. They went in, got their land, created this flag, did all this stuff. They own the river and it's owned under their name, but they're still doing these things. So it's like the flag is not even symbolic of what you really is doing. It's really not symbolic of what you're doing. Like, it really not because you are, it's not. And it's not. Because if the blue is the sky and the water, then the black in the middle and then the white is unity, it's not that. And it's really kind of the complete opposite. I'm really about to go far. But since Elon got with Kanye, I'm going to go there because, okay, Elon mama using him, right? Okay. So everything that evil, people use for evil, you can use for good. The good I do see coming out of this is that his daddy, I was reading, it was a podcast, I'll put it below, really good podcast, but the dad was in Abu Dhabi and he was talking about water irrigation. Again, in Botswana, the Sands tribe, they, Himba tribe, we gonna just kind of group them together, but the Himba hero tribe, they worship a god Makuru, and Kang is the god in Sands. Nonetheless, going back to like Elon Musk and his dad is in Abu Dhabi in the Middle East talking about water irrigation. His dad is South African, but again, we invoke the rain and they put in seas and clouds to make it rain and we invoke the rain. So it's like, his daddy was anti-apartheid, so it's not that I'm necessarily talking negatively. It's just making it known that at the same time, that's still like hoarding wealth. Because there are a lot of conversations that are being had, especially around climate change, where it should be people like myself there. But if your son is like doing the effectiveness and even still is being used, you know what I'm saying, then that's still like greedy and still being hoarding, or like it's not the word greed or hoarding, but it's like, what's it called when you got like, when you be networking and you got somebody on the inside or you already got the hookup. It's like you got the hookup almost. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to say that you're not smart and you don't know this and you don't know that. But at the same time, it's like you're so wealthy, and it's not that you're programmed too. So you could be programmed to our intelligence, but it's still like for you to be a person that was like anti-apartheid or like wanting to help the oppressed and things like that. It's like, are you not being oppressive if you're just going there as yourself? When what is being done behind the scenes is being done. And it's one thing to say, oh, I did not know. And then there's another thing to say, oh, now that I know, So it's just that way. Yeah. So shout out to Kanye and shout out to Jonathan Majors. That's like really big things to come out and say about like sexual abuse. What I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to say. Shout out. This is what I wanted to say, though. This is what I really wanted to say. So, this is what I wanted to say. They were talking about the medicine man and, okay, it's one of these 3 tribes, okay? And they were like, so in the 1920s, that's when they first found the diamonds in Namibia. It was Alexandria. The first name of it, it's a 2 name, but it's like, it's not Alexandria City, but it's like Alexandria something. If you look it up, Namibia, right there on the corner, right?